Welcome to Ayurveda and Spirituality with your host, Alakananda Ma, a renowned Ayurvedic expert and a graduate of a top London medical school. She is the principal of Alundi Ayurveda Gurukula, a unique apprenticeship-style school in Boulder, Colorado. She is a spiritual mother, teacher, flower essence maker, and storyteller. Join us as we uncover the timeless principles of Ayurveda, discover practical tips for enhancing vitality, and explore the deeper dimensions of spirituality that intertwine with the ancient science of life.
Hey everyone. Today we're going to talk about summer health. Well, this is an interesting one to put together because we here experience a four-season climate and India has a six-season climate. So Ayurveda works in terms of a six-season climate. So when we're talking about summer, we're going to have to delve into two of the six seasons. In India, the hot season is April, mid-April to mid-June kind of thing. April, May, June is the hot season. And for us, well, I got the heat on today, and it's the day before Memorial Day. Our hot season isn't going to start yet. Our hot season comes in summer, so we'll have to look at some of the suggestions for the hot season, but also the July and August time into mid-September in the Indian six seasons system of Ayurveda is varsha, or the monsoon type time, and we do get that too. We do get our heavy rains, our thunderstorms, our cloudy days in July as well. So we're going to look at both of them. So regimen during the summer or during the hot times in the summer, this is the time when the sun rays become really powerful day after day, and they seem like they'll destroy everything. Uh, with climate change, unfortunately, this is becoming more and more accurate. So we're going to have day by day less and less kapha, day by day more and more pitta. So we want to stay away from the foods that provoke pitta, the salty, the pungent, like spicy hot, like chilies, and the sour taste. We also want to avoid excess physical exertion and excess exposure to sunlight. This is something that's definitely coming up from an OSHA point of view as summers become hotter and hotter, and people are being expected to work on job sites or work out in the fields in the really intense heat. People are getting heat stroke, people are even dying from going out and working in that intense heat. There's a saying, mad dogs and Englishmen go out in the noonday sun. Stay in the noonday sun. There's a lot of wisdom in taking a siesta. Definitely when we were in Sicily, we realized we couldn't. Everything is closed siesta time, and it's actually too hot for going out sightseeing, even despite the fact that even if you wanted to go, everything's closed. You actually have to stay indoors with the blinds closed and take a bit of a siesta and go out again when things cool down. So try to avoid too much exertion in the hot time of day and going out too much in the hot sun. It's we all look forward to the summer sun, but we don't want to get overheated. If you want to go for a run or a hike, you have to go early morning or go for a night hike. We've been known to do this. Moonlight hiking also. It's a bitter thing to do. Or, of course, though, if you're fortunate enough to have the mountains nearby, go up to a higher elevation where you comfortably can exert and safely can exert in July and August. And remember to be particularly careful in those first couple of weeks of hot weather because your body isn't acclimated. And when your body's not acclimated, you could get heat exhaustion or even heat stroke at a fairly low temperature, like in the 80s. Once you get acclimated, your body's fluid balance changes, you put out less salt in your sweat, and you can endure more heat because you've made a physiological adjustment. But still be careful, especially if you're older. Older people do withstand heat the less. I can tell you that I will be getting out to weed as early as possible and come in as soon as it gets hot and cool down and do other activities like reading or relaxing or fiddling around on social media or recording talks for you. So being very careful about that powerful sun that seems like it could destroy all things and eating food suited to the season. That's the sweet taste is really good. When we were in Varanasi during hot season, it was really hot, and we cooked once every 2 days in the evening. And the rest of the time, we took lemonade, homemade lemonade, and there were so many good sweet shops with Indian milk sweets nearby. We just ate milk sweets and drank lemonade. And then finally, with after a day and a half, we get up an appetite and have some rice and dal or some khichdi. But that we, especially when you have to cook it over a kerosene stove, you're going to get pretty hot. So foods that are sweet, foods that are light, that are easily digestible, that have sufficiently rich, have sufficient fat, foods that are cold and liquid. Generally, we don't recommend ice cream so much. Like, we're not a fan of having ice cream in your freezer and pulling it out after dinner when you're in Minnesota in the winter. But you get to have gelato in the summer if you have some. My big put off getting some gelato here in Boulder is you can hardly get it. It's very expensive, but also I have to walk in the heat to get it, and that is kind of not really a win-win situation for me. Um, but I have yogurt and matsoni that I make from the nice goat milk, so I can have that. Um, Mix corn flour in very cold water and sugar. Have a nice cool shower, and then have the corn flour mixed with very cold water and sugar. In that summer heat, you get away with things that we just don't allow at other times of year, like very cold water and ice cream. Don't have alcohol. It's heating. If you have to have it, mix water in your wine. Because if you take alcohol in the hot season, the texts say you'll get emaciation, debility, burning sensation, and delusion. And just like we were doing in Varanasi, eat rice. Uh, Rice boiled white like the kunda flower and the moon. It's just so cooling to have some nice white food, so some nice rice, basmati rice, which comes in a natural pearly color. It's not brown rice made white. I'm not suggesting you have Uncle Ben's or like processed white rice, but have some nice pearly white basmati rice, and you can eat that with meat if you really want to eat meat, or you can eat that with dal, summer vegetables, got to be delicious. Have liquidy foods. You can have some broth, like you can have chicken broth or meat broth, nice thin so that it's keeps your thirst quenched. Then a dish termed rasala, rasala, which is yogurt or curds or any kind of fermented milk product. Churn it and mix it with a little black pepper and sugar. So have some lassi or some takram that's sweet, but still with a little pepper so it doesn't get too caustic. Then they recommend a lot of delicious syrups that we don't really have here, um, that are fermented. So fermented beverages are always going to be good for us. And keeping the water cool, not in the fridge, that's like icy cold, but keeping it nice and cool in a mud pot. And you can keep some flowers in your water. We don't really have the kalpur, the camphor flowers here, um, but we can have in our water we can put rose petals. We can put lavender flowers. We can put mint and keep our water nice and fragrant. Um, you also get to eat more treats in the summer. The texts refer to a lady's finger type of hollow pastry made from corn flour, fried. That's quite the treat. But you definitely get to eat more sweets and more treats because they have a cooling effect. Have milk mixed with sugar. And if you can set that milk out by moonlight and starlight and let it cool and then drink it, wow, it's going to be amazing. So don't stay out in the hot sun, but in the daytime, here I'll just read it. It's so beautiful. Daytime should be spent in forests having tall trees reaching to the sky, which obstruct the hot rays of the sun, or in houses with bunches of flowers and grapes hanging from their creepers. And then here is a very traditional cooling system, wet sheets. Wet sheets of cloth spreading sweet scented water. You have wet sheets and you spray them with vetiver water. And that provides like a beautiful natural evaporative cooling and no noise, no electricity. Bunches of tender leaves and mango fruits hanging all around. Sleep on a soft bed prepared with petals of flowers like jasmine. Have fully blossomed jasmine flowers suspended at all places. Or spend the day inside your house, cooled by water fountains. The water being scented with vetiver, coming out from the well-shaped breasts, hands, and mouth of statues. Actually, in Erice, in Sicily, where the Venus temple is, there really is a beautiful statue like that. So these things will definitely calm your pitta down and help you to get rid of the heat of the sun. It's recommended to sleep out on a terrace in the moonlight and relieve your exhaustion from the heat by anointing your body with sandalwood paste, wearing jasmine garlands. Sexual activity not recommended in the summer so much because of the uh, skin to skin heat exchange. Uh, wearing light, thin clothing, fanning yourself. I used to have a sandalwood fan that we found in a yard sale. It was just wonderful. Um, and then syringes sprinkling cool water softly, wearing pearls, and then the lovely sounds of children, minor birds, parrots, and beautiful women with lotus blossoms in their hair moving about. Just such a sensual picture of how we need to stay cool and calm in the summer. But then, ding, ding, it comes on the radio, the warning about the thunderstorm and the intense weather and the hail and the floods, and all these things can also happen for us in July and August. At this time, our Agni, our digestive fire, which has already been made weak by the summer heat, now it really gets vitiated by the thick and hanging clouds and the cold wind that suddenly blows. And all the doshas start to vitiate one another. It's because of these experiences of the really hot sun and then the thunderstorms and the blowing cold that as September arrives, we want to get into clinic and get sorted out for doing some panchakarma, for doing some fall cleanse, because all the doshas have started vitiating each other during these challenging seasons. So we want to do our fall cleanse, things we want to eat in this season, all grains like aged basmati rice, uh, meat soup, again, broth, but it's processed with spices to make it more digestible. Dal, well spiced. Now we can bring back the wine on the days that are not so hot. Um, and we also use asavas and aristas, special fermented decoctions that are used medicinally in Ayurveda. So you're going to have to get advice from an Ayurvedic practitioner, or else you can also always go with drakshasava or draksharishta, which is made from grapes. But we're not going to drink it by the bottle. We're going to have 1 tablespoon mixed in a tablespoon of water after eating. Be careful with your water in this season. Boil your water. Of course, that doesn't apply if you're getting water from the city. And now we're veering towards food that is sour, salty, fatty, but not too wet, drier food, and we mix it with honey. And we want to have food that's easily digestible. Be careful when you're walking on foot rather than on a vehicle, because all kinds of snakes, scorpions, other creatures get disturbed from their nests and their dens in the rainy season. Use perfumes and expose the clothes to fragrant fumes so they don't get mildewy. Stay near the upstairs part of your house to avoid the damp. Uh, a beverage known as odamanta is corn flour mixed with ghee made into a beverage. that is something we shouldn't have. Avoid day sleep, don't exertion, and going out in the hot sun. I remember this well when I was my first year in India, and it's my first rainy season, and I'm going to maybe it's my second rainy season because I'm going out for a walk, ignoring the time of siesta. And my friend Archana says to me, "You're going out like that in the hot sun?" I mean, I thought it's like not hot anymore. It's monsoon, but the heat is very strong on those humid days in between rainstorms and thunderstorms. Don't go out in that hot sun. You need to rest, and you need to carry an umbrella for the sun as well as for the rain. So, continuing to be careful about exposure to too much sun. So it's a little complicated for us trying to tie together our regimen for the rainy season. In other words, those sometimes we get a monsoon. It just depends what part of the states you're in and whether it's El Nino or La Nina. You may get a very rainy July and need to follow the regimens for rains. It may be boiling hot. So you may need to alternate your regimens, but just remember by the end of July, August, all your doshas are going to be provoking each other, and you need to make sure you come into clinic and get set up for some fall cleansing and some good regimens to get back on track. Okay, that does it for this time. Namaste.
Thank you for tuning in to Ayurveda and Spirituality with Alakananda Ma. We hope today's exploration has ignited a spark of curiosity and insight within you. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a 5-star review and share it with a friend. For more enlightening discussions and practical wisdom on Ayurveda and spirituality, subscribe and join our Facebook group, Alundi Ayurveda. To allow us to continue sharing valuable content, consider donating to Alundi Ashram. The links will be in the show notes. Until next time, may you walk the path of Ayurveda with grace and embrace the light of spiritual wisdom in your journey.
Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivadano